What's going on, guys? Welcome to the very first installment of the NFL podcast here on Profiling Passionate People. And oh, it must be NFL season if we're hearing that jingle. And of course, I got to come on here repping my Titans. It is Titanic Titan Tuesday that we're dropping this. And there's not too many Titan fans that I know. And I had to bring in one of my good friends, Scott. And I mean, there he is right there. Man, you're rocking the Henry. You're rocking the old Oiler hat right there. I mean, as if we coordinated together. We
Yes,
got the
sir.
Henrys. But, man, down here in Southern California, you already know there ain't that too many Titan fans out here.
No, sir.
So I'm going to dive right into it since, I mean, we've known each other for a while now, going back to our alma mater of Cal State Northridge. And I mean, our bond was already strong, but just knowing that you're a Titans fan, I'm a Titans fan. My brother, how did you become a Titans fan, though?
Yeah, so I like to tell the story a lot. So, yeah, I was a huge Tennessee Titan or a huge USC Trojans fans. My mom's an alma mater,
Fight
and
on.
right in the middle of that dynasty, you'd hear about, in 2004, you heard about Vince Young at Texas,
Yeah.
just going off, just having a Heisman type year. But you didn't really think anything of it because in my eyes, USC was like the end all be all. They were the best team out there, so nothing was going to stop them. Here comes the national championship game, and he broke our hearts big time. Had one of the greatest performances in college football history, and
Yeah.
it was like, who is this guy?
Yeah.
Who is this guy?
I
And
remember watching that game as well. And at the time, I wasn't the biggest USC fan. I believe I was in the sixth grade. No, I was a sophomore in high school. And one of my teachers, she was a diehard Trojan fan. And I just wanted to mess with her because I still and love the Hawaii Warriors. And
yep,
I was just like, oh, Hawaii this, University of Spoiled Children that. But I came across that game and the BCS game, it was against SC. And that game, I was actually rooting for Texas before I actually became a huge USC fan. We'll talk about that later. But, dude, like you were mentioning, Vince Young was just something else.
yeah. So once that game ended, like I just had the iconic image of him, of Vince Young, looking at the crowd and the confetti going behind him, and that just stuck with me. Yep, exactly. Yeah, that was like that for me. Like those moments, like in sports for me, like stick with me. So like, and
Iconic.
I didn't have an NFL team. All my friends like had NFL teams. I wasn't the biggest football fan before that, and then I was like, I wanted to be the different kid. I didn't want to, tack on to like Patriots or like 49ers or Raiders or anything local. I just went Tennessee Titans, and we went through a lot of pain. Went through a lot of pain.
Yeah. So seeing Vince Young be do what he did at the BCS championship, you became like an instant fan. And then knowing that now the team that you're going to start rooting for, they just landed him with the third overall pick. So I mean that's just yin and yang right there, right?
Yeah, definitely. It was I did the most, like, as any fan, like, just starting off. I felt like having to learn something all over again. Like I knew a little bit about football, playing Madden and things like that. And you think, I didn't know, and I didn't know how rough it was in Tennessee. But that's how it goes for an expansion team. That's how, or not expansion team. That's how it goes for a team that moves.
Yeah.
Basically, eh, the rest is kind of history. We can go into how many losing seasons and all that, but if we flash
A
forward to
lot.
now, this is kind of Tennessee's time. This kind of is Tennessee's time.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, my story kind of similar in a way. I grew up in San Francisco, still rep the Bay as much as I can. Grew up a huge Niner fan. Steve Young, Jerry Rice, those were my guys. Unfortunately, those that have seen the podcast about my story and my rough childhood, unfortunately, I spent 9 miserable years of my life in Bakersfield, of all
Ooh,
places, and for whatever reason, at Stockdale Elementary, I was in fourth grade. I was wearing my Pokemon shirts. I was wearing my Jerry Rice t-shirts. And I just see all these guys wearing Eddie George this, Steve McNair that, and Titans. I'm like,
no way.
I don't even know where Tennessee is at. So me being the new kid on the block, I was like, okay, I gotta invest in the Quicksilvers, the Hurley shirts, and Billabong. And so I was like, you know what? I'm gonna start rocking the Titans. And it wasn't until the heartbreak where we came up a yard short from potentially tying the Super Bowl against the Rams,
Yep.
where I became just this huge diehard Titan fan for the last 20, 21 years now. And I mean, like you said, there's been a lot of heartbreak. But I mean, if we flash forward to now, I actually was going to rock my Steve Arab McNair jersey on this
Yeah.
podcast. I couldn't find it, so I'm a little upset about that. But
Hmm.
those that are huge diehard Titan fans like ourselves, Steve McNair died in 2009 on 4th of July, and yeah, he's a huge part of this franchise, and you can't mention this franchise without him.
Yep.
I can't really see it too well, but I got a picture with Eddie George right there.
I
So,
see it right there. Yeah.
yeah, those guys are part of my childhood. But I mean, we fast forward to now after all of those losing seasons, and we have something in the making here.
We've got something in the making. So I wanted to talk to you about. So, all those, as a Titans fan, we were excited to get all the old veterans, the washed up guys, the Dexter McCluster, the Algie Crumpler, Curse on
On
his second signing, all these guys. And we were like,
Andre
they're
Johnson,
Andre
Randy
Johnson,
Moss.
Randy Moss. People forget
Yeah.
that. Titans legend.
Yep, 84, Titans legend, Randy
Yep.
Moss.
Yep. So it's like it felt like you had to claim when you're that bad consistently, and it's not just gonna football's the sport where like you look at the roster top to bottom. It's not like baseball where you can catch lightning in a bottle and ride that out.
Yeah,
Football, like if there's a bad roster, it's a bad roster.
yeah.
And we went through that for a long time, and they've kind of ran things for a bit, and still disrespected around the league. They've handled themselves when it counts the most in the playoffs. It just comes up just a little bit short to a generational quarterback, and like against Pat Mahomes.
It was hard to watch. I love what John Robinson, our GM, is doing right now. I love that we did bring in Mike Vrabel to an extent, obviously big Mariota guy, and I just felt that Mariota wasn't able to do what he was supposed to come in here and do, like what Lamar Jackson's doing with Baltimore. They completely altered their offense to work around him. I feel that you're going to see the same thing with Trevor Lawrence in our division with Urban Meyer. Urban Meyer's known to work around his quarterbacks, and so Marcus, I love you. It sucks that they couldn't work around your skill set, but I mean that's my one tier for Marcus.
Yeah.
But you flash forward to now, Ryan Tannehill seems to have a good hold on things. We're both rocking Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry is an absolute monster and a beast. But you look at that championship game last season, and I believe it was 3 or 4 minutes remaining in the first half against the Chiefs, and we were playing it too safe because we were up by I think like 3 or 4, and we decided to play it safe and we punted the ball. I mean, that's just what happens. And the Chiefs go and score and they take the lead before halftime.
Wasn't that again the Ravens? Ravens. Last year was Ravens.
I'm sorry, 2 years ago. 2 years
2
ago.
years ago was Chiefs.
And so
yeah.
That year I felt that we had a real strong chance with that. And it hurts me to think that if we're solely this ground and pound running game with Derek, why did we only run the ball 6-7 times in the second half when it was only a 4-point game deficit that we were in? So, I think when Vrabel slowly starts putting aside his pride, we have shown that we can beat these top tier teams. I mean, the Chiefs we beat a season or two ago, the Ravens last season. During the season, obviously, we just unfortunately got reminded we got ousted in the first round. But
Yep.
I really think we do have a shot, and especially with bringing in a talent like Julio Jones and this team and its secondary and its core. Brother man, what are your thoughts about this upcoming season?
Yeah, so this upcoming season looks like it felt like the Julio Jones move, across the board. It's not a lateral move. This is something that is going to take the offense exactly what they need to go. They need to go vertical. Exactly.
Yeah.
They need to go. it kind of made so much sense that they needed a one, or a complimentary, not even a one. They needed someone to take the
Yeah.
pressure off of AJ, and they
AJ,
had a bunch of
exactly.
they had a bunch of guys after that. Losing Corey Davis, he's I'll miss Corey, but it for the money that it had to go somewhere else. It had to
Yeah.
they needed to allocate resources somewhere else. The defense was historically bad. I was amazed that it just shows, like, if people watched every game, it would show how bad the defense was and how good the offense was to make up for their deficiencies. So
Yeah.
the crazy part is I heard Titans fans and people say, oh, they didn't do anything with the defense, or they let too many of these guys go, or complaining like they let Malcolm Butler, they released Adoree, or they didn't pick up his option. Oh, they did pick it up. They just released him. But it's like,
Yeah.
you had to make these changes. What'd you want? Like, if you kept the same guys, it's just definition of insanity, doing the same thing, expecting a different result. You can't keep doing that. And that's what J Rob did. He cleaned house, brought new guys in, wants to go press man, let's pin the ears back, go after the quarterback.
Yeah.
And Julio coming in, he's not only going to let AJ Brown play with his idol, he's going to make all these
Yeah.
other guys better. And we still have Derrick Henry, who's in the peak of his career still. He's the best running back in the league. Pure, like, downhill rusher. You could argue for receiving back, all those other things, but it just made too much sense with the Julio move. For the
Yeah.
cost, it's in and people disrespect Ryan Tannehill still. It
Yeah.
blows my
And
mind.
and I think the move was necessary now. And yeah, we traded away a couple second round picks, third round picks, what have you. But at the same time, if you're wanting that mentality to win now, you got to pull that trigger. And bringing in a Caleb Farley, letting
Yep.
some of these guys walk, letting Jadeveon Clowney walk. I mean, Jadeveon Clowney, yes, he had quarterback pressures, but didn't record a sack with us. Adoree, fight on. I love him. I've been a big fan of Adoree's ever since he came out of SC. Just could not stay healthy in these last couple of seasons. We had to let him go.
Yep.
Complimenting AJ with his idol, Julio. I mean, I still just don't feel that the Titans are 100% done. I know there's a little chirping about potentially Stephon Gilmore is still upset that, and still, I believe, still a no-show with the Patriots.
Mm-hmm.
So I think he's still trying to get moved. All I know is that the fact that we're moving on from Mike Vrabel coaching the defense solely by himself and doing the playing calls, I could not tell you, bro, how many times I wanted to blow up your phone and blow up Twitter. Why
Yep.
is it that it's 3rd and 3 and our cornerbacks are playing 10 yards off the ball?
Soft coverage. I don't know. I just
And
that's for years.
and you look at what the Ravens did with us with an older receiver in Dez Bryant, and we made him look like the superstar that he once was. All they were doing was throwing the quick zero route on a 3rd and 3 while our guys are playing 10 yards off, and he goes ahead and torches us.
Yeah.
So whoever the DC that's going to be calling the shots, hopefully everyone knows in that organization it's time to win now. And us Titan fans, I know that we get a bad rap for not filling in Nissan Stadium. Even Vrabel said it multiple times. It always feels like it's an away game, even though they are at home. But I'm sorry, us Titan fans, we're excited for this upcoming season.
I don't know how you're not. I don't know how people aren't.
Yeah,
Shane Bowen's going to take over the defense. Hopefully he gets the
yeah, there you
title.
go.
That's what they said, the title,
Yeah,
and I think, just like you said, I think Vrabel sometimes has, maybe too hands-on of an approach. And sometimes,
yeah,
maybe it just, I hopefully in the off season, they kind of hammered that out. They kind of figured it out, sat back and said, none of this worked. Nothing worked, because nothing worked at all. You saw against the Ravens in the playoffs. Lamar just went crazy. Lamar had that big run, and that was the dagger. That was it. And you
yeah.
saw guys taking off, taking their foot off the gas on that play on the
Yep.
defense. Like Vaccaro kind of pulled up a little bit, and it just felt like
Byard.
swimming upstream. Byard had a down year, so it was just like there were so many things stacked against that defense, and not enough help with the offense, even though they were spectacular. Again,
Yeah.
it just, you can't do it all every time.
Yeah, I mean, you're looking at the stats that Tannehill's doing. He's very efficient on that deep ball. I remember watching the Houston Texans game, the final one of the season, and that big lob to AJ Brown, and I think it was like a 50-yard catch, and just he puts it in
Yep.
there so perfectly. And now you have such a versatile weapon in a Julio Jones. And the thing that I'm so excited about Julio Jones is that we're not getting the Titans Randy Moss version. We're not getting the Titans Andre Johnson version. We're getting Julio Jones, who is still in his prime. He's still putting up over 1,000-yard seasons. He's still so shifty and so fast. I know you and I will send each other IG videos all the time of how fast his feet are moving, how quick he
Yeah.
can get up to the ball and everything. So, dude, I am so excited. The fact that the Titans are actually coming out here on the West Coast this season. I know that at the end of the year, week 3, they're going to be up in Seattle. I'm still contemplating whether I want to do that one or not, or maybe it's week 2. But I know for sure I'm going to be at SoFi as we play the Rams.
I'll be there too.
Okay, I know.
I'll be there.
I know on the Facebook group, California Titan fans, CTF, they're all going to be up in the 500s and stuff. I'm the type of person that I like going to like the hotels before the games and trying to grab some photos and some autographs beforehand. But best believe, going to be in that new stadium and seeing our team taking them on. It's going to be magical. So where are you going to be sitting though?
Yeah, my friend has some season tickets, so I'll be hanging with him. For
Okay.
me, it doesn't matter. The last game I went to, a Titans game, was in Qualcomm down in San Diego.
Yeah.
Again, Vince Young, Kenny Britt, all the long time ago.
Wow,
Long
that
time ago.
long. I
Like it
was
was,
thinking,
I was a senior in high school. I was
wow.
long time ago, so it's been a while. So it's gonna be I can't wait. Like you see my smile, I can't wait. It's gonna be great.
I'm actually smiling because when you mentioned Qualcomm, the last time that I had went to Qualcomm with the Titans, it was when Mariota had extended the ball out to the pylon, and I was like right there, row 2, and in one of the photos you can see myself and my brother, who's a Charger fan, and that's what I thought you were talking about. But
Oh
man, you
man,
just threw it back to
I'm way
Kenny
back.
Britt and
Yep, Kenny
and
Britt.
Vince Young. Oh my
Yep,
God,
still
that's
with Chris Johnson in there. Yeah, like
PJ2K.
way long time ago, man. Cortland
Man.
Finnegan, all those guys. Finnegan used to be my guy.
Oh, I
I,
love Finney.
I was a
I
big
still love
Finnegan.
Finney.
Yeah, I was a big Finnegan guy.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
you know, it's gonna be a good year. People still don't understand, but I want to see how the defense works. That's it. I'm not worried about the offense. I would like to see how Ferkser does. You know,
Yeah.
without Jonnu
I'm.
Smith there, I'm happy for him.
I
But it's
mean,
just
there's some reports that we're trying to target Zach Ertz, but I have liked what Ferkser has been doing though, and he has stepped into that role when Jonnu wasn't Jonnu. So,
Ferkser's
um,
made some catches, big catches.
yeah, it's gonna be interesting. But I mean, we look at the season. Okay, yeah. So it is week 2 that we're up in Seattle. We start off against the Cardinals. 17-game season this year. Obviously, we would want them to go 17-0, but we saw what happened with the Steelers when they went, I think, 11, 12, or 13-0, and they kind of fumbled the ball. So,
Yeah.
as you look at the schedule yourself, as do I, realistically, out of 17 games, what do you think our projections are with this upcoming year?
I'd have to pull it up, but I know that Titans have a really, really difficult schedule, like a very hard. It's gonna press the team. It's really gonna show what they can do, like how well they do. Let me pull up the schedule here, and I'll take a
Yeah, we
quick
got
glance.
we
Yeah,
got week 1 Cardinals, week 2 Seahawks, week 3 Colts, and those Colts new look with Carson Wentz. We got the Jets, the Jags, the Bills, the Chiefs, the Colts, the Rams, Saints, Texans, the Pats,
man,
Jags, Steelers, Niners for Thursday night football right before Christmas. Got the Dolphins, and then of course Derrick Henry's favorite game, his 250-yard Houston Texan Week 17 game. So,
so if
um,
if you look at if you look at week 6 through 10, that's hell.
yeah,
Buffalo, Kansas City, Indianapolis, LA Rams and the Saints. That's a hard stretch.
That's a
So,
hard stretch. So, I mean, I know that the team's up for the task. I know that Kevin Byard, like you mentioned earlier, he's got a real big chip on his shoulder, especially with him rocking that captaincy in the secondary for us. And I've heard a lot of stuff from his interviews and everything that this upcoming season, not only was he at one point, I think he still is the highest paid safety in the NFL. He needs to go out there and perform, and he feels the pressure, and I have a lot of trust in Bayard. So it's going to be very interesting, but I love the direction where the team's going. I know the city of Nashville is getting really ecstatic about it. I was watching the 4th of July on CNN, and they had Brad Paisley, and I'm not the biggest country music fan, but I was listening to some of the lyrics, and he had mentioned Nashville as being Titans town. And again, you talk to some of these cats on the street and they don't even know who the Titans are. So,
nope.
put some respect on our name. You can put us in the middle of the pack with the power rankings, but all I know is that yourself, myself, we're going to be ready to tighten up this season.
Yep, definitely,
So,
100%.
Any last remarks, my friend?
No, just you look at, just like you said, they can hang with the best of them. You look 2 years ago, they took Kansas City. They were leading that game. I believe they were leading that game going in, and then the defense broke down. They couldn't tackle Mahomes. Rest is history. They took down Tom Brady. They ended that era.
Yeah, and then the Super Bowl defending champs against the Eagles.
Yep.
I believe it was Mariota that hit the backside drag route to Corey Davis in overtime. And I mean, we've got so many, and I love Mike Keith. A shout out to Mike Keith. I love his radio calling and just how excited he gets when he's yelling touchdown.
Yep, definitely.
Titans.
Oh, yep. I'm ready, man. They can hang right there. We'll see how it goes. All reports are looking good. Team's looking good, and I think that Julio Jones signing showed that that top to bottom, right? That's what you need. A lot of top to bottom cohesiveness with the roster, the pulse with the front office, and I think that move showed them that they're ready to roll. They're ready to go.
Yeah, definitely. And I'm looking and very excited to see Caleb Farley. I know he's really itching to get out there, and that boy he's got some length on him, and going up against some of these best receivers in the league. I cannot wait. So,
I can't
all
wait.
right, brother, man. I really appreciate you stopping on here.
No doubt.
And I know, again, we got the Titan season coming up. This is the first installment on Profiling Passionate People of our NFL podcast leading up to the preseason and eventually the 2021-22 NFL season. For Scott, I am Solomon. You guys take care, stay motivated, and we'll chat with you guys next time, all right? Thank you.
Tighten up, baby.